Ubisoft CEO Yves Guillemot, I'm not sure if that's how you say his name, but he is condemning gamers for malicious and personal online attacks directed at his team members. He provides zero evidence of these malicious and personal online attacks. And in fact, he does nothing to condemn his own employees who have raged against gamers. Before we get to this, I'd like to ask you, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss any of our future videos here at the Trent Report. Roll this up over at thatparkplace.com. And he did an interview with Lucy O'Brien, Ubisoft's director of editorial communications. And the interview was published to Ubisoft's website. He was asked this question. I'd like to end with a two-part question. First part, what dismays you about the games industry right now? And this is what he said. One thing I am concerned about right now is the malicious and personal online attacks that have been directed at some of our team members and partners. I want to make it clear that we at Ubisoft condemn these hateful acts in the strongest possible terms, and I encourage the rest of the industry and players to denounce them too. I am proud to support the amazing work of our teams and partners, and I will always trust in their creative choices. We should all celebrate the hard work and talent that goes into making video games. That's how he concluded the question. So again, who even knows what he's talking about? What are these personal and malicious online attacks? What is this hate that he's talking about? Zero evidence. Don't even know what he's talking about. Looks like just a giant virtue signal to condemn quote unquote hate, which at the end of the day is likely just people not liking the upcoming video games that his company is making, specifically Assassin's Creed Shadows and Star Wars Outlaws. Both games have had massive dislikes on numerous YouTube videos that Ubisoft has put out, their trailers, interviews, etc. Gamers are not interested in these games. They're not interested in Ubisoft's DEI and woke agenda that they have injected into these games, and they have made that very clear. They have ridiculed Ubisoft, ridiculed these games for what they are doing. And that's likely what he's really talking about, because he doesn't provide any evidence of malicious and personal online attacks. In fact, we do have evidence, though, of an Ubisoft employee. Her name is Shauna Jones, and she's a community manager. And she's made numerous posts that, in my opinion, show that she has an animus against white men. This is what she posted back in January 2020. If you're a white dude complaining that diversity being raised is an issue, then people are going to keep raising the lack of diversity until we see change. That crap's got to change, man. In September 2020, love that if you say you're trying to be more body positive, white men assume that you're saying you're fat and tell you to go to the gym. I'm a size 12. Being body positive has nothing to do with weight. It has everything to do with weight. That's the whole point of that stupid woke movement. It's trying to make you think that the sin of gluttony, of not taking care of yourself, is somehow a positive. This is what these people do. They always try to turn evil into good and good into evil. It's sick stuff. Sick stuff. This is a Ubisoft employee pushing this. July 2020, she wrote this. Please don't tell me gender isn't an issue in the games industry when you are a white male. Diversity in general is an issue in the industry. I guess as a white male who is not always represented, it's easier to not know or see the misrepresentation in studios. So again, lecturing white men, basically telling them to shut up. They can't talk about this. She then criticized streamer Ninja for not teaching about white privilege on his streams. This is what she wrote. Ninja is boasting about his white privilege by doing this. He has the potential to influence millions of kids and chooses to be a sack of beans. Use your platform for good. If you have the opportunity, don't do a ninja. We got some more here. These were posted by Mark Kern, aka Grums. These original ones here are this ex-user Kooks12. I'll have the link in the description below so you can check out these posts if you want in the article. But this is what Kern wrote, or shared about what she wrote. She wrote this in December 2020. Gamer boys ruin online games, clearly taking an issue with people based on sex. In August 2022, she responded to a post about Alan Cudiccio, claiming he was mistaken for a waiter at Gamescom. She posted this. This is shameful behavior, proof that we can't make the games industry a safe and inclusive space when the higher ups don't understand the importance of diversity and are all middle-aged white guys. So clearly taking an issue with white males. In January 2019, she took issue with the Days Gone video game. She says, I'm enjoying playing Days Gone, but at the same time, the lack of diversity really upsets me. She had in a response to another user, like, even the camps are full of white people. Sounds like she has an issue with white people. That's what it sounds like to me. In 2017, she posted this. I know the industry itself is maturing, but the gamers, man, they need to sort themselves out. And then 2019, she posted this. Yay, diversity, finally, no more middle-aged white men. Clearly, she believes what I think is now accepted by mainstream corporate video game culture, that diversity is anti-white. I think this is very clear. That's clearly what she thinks, and that's how she's posting. And she's employed by Ubisoft. But Yves Guillemot is going to lecture gamers about malicious and personal online attacks when he employs someone like this. We also have this. The company hired Dartmouth professor Sashi Schmidt-Hori as a consultant on Assassin's Creed Shadows. Schmidt-Hori is an associate professor at Dartmouth in the university's Art and Sciences department. This is what her biography on the university's website initially stated. She's actually changed it since I wrote about her. But it initially said this. We have an archive too, so it's still there. But she wrote this. I'm interested in investigating how gender, sexuality, corporeality, and power are represented and negotiated in pre-17th century Japanese narratives and illustrations. My first book, Tales of Idolized Boys, Male Love in Medieval Japanese Narratives, is on medieval Chigo Monogatari, Buddhist acolyte tales, which often depict romantic relationships between Buddhist priests and adolescent boys. These tales challenge a host of normative and moral standards we academics especially internalize, including such ideas as sexual orientation, transgenerational sex, and sexual agency. So this is what it reads now. This is what was live on the site and how she changed it. It now says, I'm interested in literary and pictorial representations of gender, sexuality, and class in pre-17th century Japanese narratives, as well as analyzing the modern meta-narratives thereof. My first book, Tales of Idolized Boys, Male Love in Medieval Japanese Narratives, is on medieval Chigo Monogatari, Buddhist acolyte tales, which often depict romantic relationships between Buddhist priests and adolescent boys. These tales challenge a host of normative and moral standards we academics, non-academics, the far right, the far left, and beyond internalize, including such ideas as sexual orientation, transgenerational sex, and sexual agency. She then shares a review of the book. This is the official description for the book. It says this, that Schmidt-Hori, quote, calls for a shift in the hermeneutic strategies applied to Chigo and Chigo Monogatari and puts forth both a nuanced historicization of social constructs such as gender, sexuality, age, and agency, and a mode of reading propelled by curiosity and introspection. He goes on and says this, Sashi Schmidt-Hori begins by delineating various dimensions of Chigo, the Chigo title, personal names, gender, sexuality, class, politics, and religiosity to show the complexity of this cultural construct. The Chigo as a triply liminal figure who is neither male nor female, child nor adult, human nor deity. A modern reception history of Chigo Monogatari follows, revealing not surprisingly that the tales have often been interpreted through cultural paradigms rooted in historical moments and worldviews far removed from the original. From the 1950s to 1980s, research on Chigo was hindered by widespread homophobic prejudice. More recently, aversion to the age gap and historical master-acolyte relations has prevented scholars from analyzing the religious and political messages underlying the genre. So that's what the official publisher, how they describe her book. And again, this is someone who Ubisoft has paid to be a consultant on Assassin's Creed Shadows. It's no surprise about his statement, though. YouTuber The Quartering, Jeremy Hambley, he shared an internal document from Ubisoft in April. He said this: first, we want to make it very clear that we do not accept hate, harassment, and other forms of abuse in any way. And we are deeply saddened to see the negativity and hatred currently spreading on our coworkers' personal profiles and on our and our partner social media platforms. Again, no evidence of this. They probably think that opposing LGBTQ disordered relationships is hate, which is absolutely not. It's actually love. It's love to try and get someone to stop engaging in destructive, disordered, evil behavior. Yet they'll label it as hate. Again, goes back to this idea that they want to tell you that doing something good is evil and doing something evil is good. The document continued, we are proud to represent the diversity and inclusion that exists in society as part of our everyday work. Representation is part of our DNA and will remain that way regardless of external pressure or influences. If you are exposed to or witness any negative behaviors towards your colleagues online, do not hesitate to reach out to your manager, Arcade HR, or the communications team. We are here to help. Should a situation escalate to a point where you feel unsafe, please contact the Ubisoft security and risk management team. SRM has a team of dedicated staff to manage security concerns. They will assess the severity of the situation and provide personalized guidance. As always, report immediate and severe personal safety concerns to your local emergency number. Given the current polarization of this topic online, we believe that having a respectful and constructive dialogue is difficult, if not impossible, to achieve. In this context, we ask you not to engage in or interact with these conversations, as this could worsen the situation for yourself, our teams, and our industry peers. So clearly, the CEO is not taking the advice of this internal document. He's clearly trying to now engage in, quote unquote, these conversations by issuing this statement. You can also set your accounts to private and or turn off private messages from people who are not in your list of trusted friends. Do this across all your social accounts, even if you are only receiving unwelcome messages on certain platforms. It then concludes, Ubisoft firmly stands for diversity and inclusion in our workplace and our games, and we believe there is no room for hate in gaming. Yet they actually are admitting that there is room for hate in gaming because they are clearly opposing what is good and true by advocating for diversity, which we know from their community manager is anti-white. It sounds like hate to me. And we know that inclusion initiatives are also racist. Would not be surprised if Ubisoft has a policy that discriminates based on sex and race because they are pushing inclusion. That's what that is. It's anti-white. So this is my final advice here, final comments. If he's going to lecture anyone, if he's going to try and condemn people, he needs to take the advice of our Lord and Savior, the living God, Jesus Christ's teaching on hypocrisy. And this is what Christ said as recorded in the Gospel of Luke. Why do you notice the splinter in your brother's eye, but do not perceive the wooden beam in your own? How can you say to your brother, brother, let me remove that splinter in your eye, when you do not even notice the wooden beam in your own eye? You hypocrite. Remove the wooden beam from your eye first. Then you will see clearly to remove the splinter in your brother's eye. Those are my thoughts on this. Let me know what you guys make of this. Let me know in the comments below. Remember to always be charitable, especially to each other, but to always speak the truth.